Merci, Madame la...
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd like to start by thanking everybody for the solidarity which has been expressed with us. We are emotional, but as Mrs. Holmeyer said, we have to think about the victims and their families, and I'd like to thank all of those who have helped them, especially on Friday night and Saturday. I'm thinking of the police forces, of the health people who have done excellent work over the weekend and who have saved lives and are still saving lives. I think it's normal for a government to react to a horror like what happened last Friday. Young people from different nationalities were hit, a lot of French people, but other Europeans as well, and non-Europeans as well, and I think it's worthwhile saying this. As has been said, terrorists have attacked Paris, but they attacked Beirut at almost the same time, and there have been other attacks, the Egyptian, the Russian plane in Egypt. There have been blind attacks before that. I'm of a certain age, and I can remember attacks in Paris in the 80s and 90s, but also in Madrid and in London. They were blind attacks. They attacked the public transport, for example. So now people are afraid. It's normal. It is quite normal, because everybody should have a right to security and safety. And we all know that zero risk does not exist. So yes, we have to combat terrorism. Yes, we have to reassure people. Yes, we have to protect people. But I was struck by the atmosphere in France and in Paris. It was different to the climate after the Charlie Hebdo attack. It was different since Friday. Many people are saying we want to continue a normal life. We mustn't show our fear and our panic, because that plays into the hands of IS. And we have seen people saying this. Yesterday evening, for example, in Molenbeek, there was a gathering of people. This is a healthy attitude in a state of law. So we have to keep our reason, and we have to remember the fundamental principles which have always guided us in this committee, that is, the principles of proportionality. Otherwise, we will undermine basic freedoms, and I have a number of comments which I'll make quickly, Madam Chairman. We mustn't confuse emergency measures and long-term measures. What happened on Friday? Well, most of these criminals were French, and like in January, it was a question of national coordination and international coordination which was raised. In France, terrorists crossed the French-Belgian border. They crossed the border, they were stopped, but they weren't arrested. Now, we've talked about PNR. We were told this was a tool to help tourists to move around. But then other measures which were supposed to help people to move around have been used against immigrants, and as we were told, with the excuse that we are combating terrorism. I think the main problem is that we need human resources. This has been unfortunately shown in Paris. I'm also worried. It's been said this morning about the systematic link which is made between combating terrorism and migration. I'd like to remind you that these Syrian refugees are the main victims of IS. And I will finish by quoting Benjamin Franklin, a people who is willing to give up some freedom for more security ends up having neither one nor the other and losing both. So I think we should remember that. That should be our motto. We have to be reasonable in our reaction to this.